So it's about 6:15 now. Like I said, got up and out to the barn a little after 4, or right around 4 o'clock this morning. The sun is starting to come up, so if you haven't had a chance to catch a sunrise yet during your time off, I highly encourage you to do it. If you're not able to, here's one that you could see. This is what the sky would look like around 6 o'clock or 6:15 in the morning. Alright, so the cows are all milked and it's time to let them outside. They'll go outside to eat some more food. So my dad's letting them out one at a time. They're going to head out, so they go out on their own. Just like when we saw earlier when the other cows were coming into the barn, they know exactly where they're going. So they're heading outside. And then what we will do as soon as the barn is empty is we're going to clean it up. So we'll sweep up the old feed if there's any left in front of them, and put down some new feed, and we'll also clean all the poop or manure off of the floor and make that all clean as well. And then this area right here, it's called the gutter. So there's a chain under there, and what it'll do is it'll automatically take the poop or the manure out to a spreader. So we'll get to see that process in a little bit, and that just helps clean the barn up. Alright, so we're scraping up the barn, which just means we're cleaning the manure off the floor. Bottom half is done, so I'll just show you how it's done. We use a scraper here. Yeah, and that's how it goes. Alright, so now that the barn floor is all cleaned off, turn on the chain conveyor that will take all the manure around the barn and then outside to manure spreader. Once it's in the spreader, then it's going to be driven out to a field and spread across there where it becomes fertilizer for next year's crop. So this chain will go, it'll probably take 15 minutes to get all cleaned off. Finishes up, we're going to get ready to feed the baby cows, the calves, and they drink formula. So it's called Milk Replacer. It's dried milk, dried powdered milk, and then also has some medicines in it and other nutrients in it as well. You can see there's some cats around here. So my dad's kind of like an old cat lady, crazy cat lady. He has probably 15 cats, a lot of inbreeding, kind of like the British royalty. The good news is that we don't have a lot of rats, and the other good news is the cats do not have chiclet teeth like the British Royals do. So here we have some younger calves, so just a couple months old. It'll take about 2 years for them to be able to produce milk, like about 1.5 years, 2 years before they have their first baby and then can produce milk. This one here is darker. It just has a little white spot on its head. This is an Angus calf. You may have seen some of those in the store, like they'll advertise that there's Angus meat. It's supposed to be really good meat. You'll find these animals more on the western farms. So in Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, some of the big beef cattle farms out there. We have some of those here in Wisconsin as well. So this is one of them. They're usually a shorter animal. But then they'll fill out again because they're bred more or designed more for producing meat and being used for that, as opposed to a dairy cow, which would be a taller, slightly taller, skinnier animal that's bred or built for producing milk. But it's sure cute. Alright, so now we're going to go take a look at what my dad's doing now. We used to call him Houdini because he would disappear all the time. So I just had to find him in here. He's filling up feed for the cows later. So it's a mixture of corn and hay that's been kept in a silo. So he's filling up the cart there. As soon as that's full, later on we'll give that to the cows so they can eat it later. Cows eat a lot. They need to eat a lot of food to produce the milk that they have. They're big machines and they require a lot of energy to keep them going. So one of the machines we have inside the barn to help save some time and labor is an automatic feed cart. So my sister Tina's running that. Just go along, got to make sure you don't run over your toes, but other than that it's a real easy process. Just push a button and the feed automatically comes out. laying a nice amount for each cow to be able to eat when they return in the barn. So I think I mentioned that the cows eat a lot. We let them outside. We're cleaning the barn and putting new feed out for them, new food out for them inside the barn. But out here they have what's called a bunk feeder. So it is full of a mixture of corn and hay, and the cows are in there eating that. So I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but cows eat a lot. They could spend their whole day eating a lot. Hey there, how are you doing? Curious cow here, but that's what they do. So most of this feed will come from one of the silos. You've seen these around farms. So my dad has 3 of them here. You'll see those. They're usually like 60 or 70, maybe even 80 feet tall. Those are filled with the feed, and it'll come down into the conveyor, and then this way into another conveyor, which will distribute it to the cows here. So again, the feed is stored in these silos. When you go past many of the old farms, they'll still have these silos that may or may not be filled with feed. They are kind of a little more labor intensive than the systems that they use now. But again, a lot of the old farms will have those because that's what they used to use years ago. And they're still in use now, including on my dad's farm here. But what they also use, and use a little bit more, now you'll see these white bags that are laid out, long bags that are filled with feed. And this is a different system. They don't have to have the money that goes into building a silo. There's less upkeep there. So what they'll do is they'll use a tractor with a bucket on it to scoop up the feed, and then they will put it in other areas and find a way to get it to the cows that way. So right there's a fun piece of equipment called a skid loader. Right now my dad is taking this machine here, hooked up to a tractor. So one of the fun things you can do on a farm is to drive a tractor. He's going to take that, it's full of feed. He's going to take it down to the younger animals and feed it to them. So it has some feed from those white bags out there that he put in earlier, and it mixes it up. So there's a big auger in there that'll mix it up. And what we're going to do is we're going to follow him around to where he's going and watch it unload. So one of the drawbacks about farming in the winter is it gets cold. It's not so cold or miserable today, and there's no snow around obviously, but temperatures when you're working outside could be in the single digits, teens, 20s, and farmers still have to work in those conditions. So my dad's turning the machine on, and what it's going to do is it's going to distribute the feed, so it's going to unload. As he drives ahead, it'll keep pushing the feed out in front of these younger animals here. There you go. So again, it beats using a shovel or a fork to have to move this on. They have this machine. It saves a lot of time and energy. Most of the farms have something like this nowadays because again, it's a much more efficient process, and it's an easier way to get their work done. Alright, so it's close to 7 o'clock. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to crawl up this silo here. So it's about 66 feet tall. There's a little ladder system that you use to crawl up there. I'm going to go up there because the sun is almost, well, it's popping out of the sky. Looks kind of cool, so I'm going to go up there so we can take a 360 degree view of the farm and what's surrounding it. So I'm just going to crawl up this ladder here. So if you're afraid of heights, this may not be the job for you on the farm, but it's okay to do every now and then. Alright, here I am up on top of the silo. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. There's the sun. So the full sunrise. So again, if you missed it earlier, here's your sunrise for the break. See a couple of cows down there. And then here's the roof of the other silo. So that one's about 68 feet tall. And then just a 360 view of the area around my dad's farm. There's his neighbors directly across the street. And then back over there, those buildings straight ahead are where the airport is. So I'll pan back this way. There's the house I grew up in. So there are 4 of us all together. I have a sister Tina who is 3 years older than me. A brother Kelly who is 2 years older than me. And then there's myself and then my sister Brenda who's 2 years younger than me.